Okay, that means the cost price of A has to be find out. Then what is the resultant profit here? Total aggregate profit here is 20 plus 25 plus 20 into 25 by 100. Okay, 25 ones and 4s, 4 ones and 4 5s, you can get 30 and 20, that is 50% of profit. That means this value contains 150%. Okay, so 150% is equal to 2250. Am I clear to you? This what 2250 includes the total profit, that is 150% is equal to 2250. Then 100% is equal to 2250 into 100 by 150. Okay, here 0 cancel, 15 ones, okay, 15 sevens, so totally it is 1700 rupees is the cost price of A. So what is the answer there? None. Okay, none is the answer in this case. Right? Now take another example on a discount basis. Yes. Look at this question. Look at the 20th question particularly. The market price of a radio is 480. The shopkeeper allows a discount of 10% and gains 8% if no discount is allowed. If no discount is allowed, find his gain percentage. Okay, now look at here, it is a double process. Initially cost price can be taken as 100%. Okay, there the profit is 8%, that means here the profit is 8%. Then here selling price is 108%. On this he gives 10% discount. Okay, he gives 10% discount. Suppose let it be, assume this is 100. Okay, if he gives 10% of discount, okay, 100% is the selling price. Now if he allows the discount, this is the 90% of value. Okay, now when you look at there, here market price of a radio is 480. That means this value is equal to what? 480. Okay, when you cancel zeros, you can get the 9% value. Okay, and you can get the 1% value like that. Okay, now get the selling price of that article, that is the selling price. Okay, that means you should have to calculate here 480 into 100 by 90. 480 into 100 by 90. What is that value? Okay, what is that value here? Here 0 cancel, or when you cancel with the here 3 3s, 3 1s, 3 6 and 0, 160 by 3, that means 16 by 3 into 100. When you cancel this one, 3 5s 15 and 1 by 3, 5 1 by 3 into 100. Okay, 5 1 by 3 into 100 means 5.333 and so on is the profit plus 8. Okay, 5.333. You can get this value like this. Okay, here 3 5s 15. Okay, and here you have 10, 3 3s 9. Okay, point. And again you have the 10, 53.333 and so on. So when you multiply with 10, you can get 533.33 is the selling price. Without discount, if he gives that 8% plus this percentage value, that means 533 approximately minus 480 by, here the base is 533 into 100. That means here 33 plus 20, 53. 53 by 533 into 100. Approximately it is 10. Okay, so 10 tens cancel, that is 10, 10 plus 8, that is 18%. Approximately that was 20% is the right answer. Now, and these are about the profit and loss problems, and we will let's prepare well based upon our concepts. Now let's have a discussion on simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest and compound interest, SI and CI. Okay, here in this topic, this is also interrelated topic to the percentages. When you prepare for the percentages, you can solve the simple interest and compound interest problems also when you are aware of the concepts. Okay, now simple interest and compound interest, these two topics, why in this way interest is common in these two, why we should have to pay the interest. Okay, that is the first question you should have to arise in your minds while you prepare for this topic. Interest is the additional amount paid by the borrower to the lender. Okay, interest is the additional amount paid by the borrower to the lender for the usage of that particular amount for a particular period. Okay, that means today's 1 value is less than the tomorrow's 1 rupee value. Today's 1 rupee value is less than tomorrow's 1 rupee value. That means somewhat inflation or somewhat cost comparisons, there is a lot of variations. That's why interest concept is arises. Because of the reduce in the price of because of the reduce of the value of 1 rupee for day by day, our banks also providing the interest for our money because of these conditions. Okay, now let us discuss about the simple interest and compound interest variation. Simple interest and compound interest have a slight variation, that is, simple interest is nothing but interest calculated based upon the initial investment amount. Okay, here the main definition for this one, simple interest, is interest. Here interest is calculated based upon based upon initial investment. That initial investment is nothing but principal. Okay, principal. Every time interest is calculated based upon the principal amount. That means suppose when I calculate the interest after 1 year at the rate of 10% per annum on 1000 rupees. Suppose principal is 1000 rupees. Okay, and rate of interest R is equal to 10% per annum. Okay, look at here. In this example, we will discuss all the models. If the principal is 10,000 and the rate of interest is 10% per annum, then here simple interest for the first year is equal to what? 10% of 1000. That means 100 rupees is the interest. Okay. Simple interest on second year is also 100 rupees. Simple interest on third year is also 100 rupees. Okay, so every time interest is calculated based upon the principal. That means on the principal amount we are using the 10% rate of interest, that is 10 by 100. Okay, for 1 year I am taking, that's why I am using into 1. If I am using 3 years into 3, directly you can get 100 plus 100 plus 100 in this concept. Okay, now if I want the interest for 6 months, if the principal is 1000, what is the interest for the 6 months? In this case, you may calculate like this. So for 1000 rupees for 1 year, for the 1 year, interest is equal to what? 100 rupees. Okay, for half year, that is 6 months, is equal to what? 50. Okay, you should have to remember in your minds. While the unitary method also useful, or by using the formula simple interest is equal to PTR by 100 may be identified. Let's come to the compound interest. Okay, simple interest means interest calculated based upon the initial investment, whereas compound interest means here interest is calculated based upon previously compounded amount. This terminology is very, very important. Previously compounded amount. Okay, this previously compounded amount means principal plus, principal is indicated as P, principal plus interest. Principal plus interest is nothing but compounded amount. Interest must be calculated every time based upon the previously compounded amount. Compounding means previous amount plus interest, previous amount plus interest. Every time previous amount plus interest. That means compound interest is nothing but interest on interest. Interest calculated based upon interest on interest. So that means, so for example, if you have 1000 rupees initially, this is the principal. If the rate of interest is 10% per annum, okay, after 1 year this value comes to what is the interest here after 1 year? 100. So total it is 1100. Okay, for the second year you should have to calculate 10% of the interest on 1100. That means 110 is the interest. So here it is 2210. Sorry, 1210 is the amount after 2 years. This is the amount. When you subtract the principal, you can get the interest as 210. In this case, interest is 200 for 2 years. In this case, interest is 210. Okay, that means in compound amount, interest is calculated based upon the previously compounded amount. In compound interest, what? Interest is calculated based upon the previously compounded amount. Based upon this concept, we can solve the problems. Here the concept for the simple interest is SI is equal to, simple interest is equal to PTR by 100. Okay, SI simple interest is equal to PTR by 100, where P is equal to principal. P is equal to what? Principal or initial investment. That means the starting investment. Initial investment. Okay. Now T means what? Time period. Time period for up to which? For interest period. time period for up to interest period, where R is equal to rate of interest. Rate of interest. Okay. Now let's come to compound interest. Okay. Here in this case, but look at here once, simple interest. In simple interest, we can get the simple interest as per this. So compound amount, final amount is equal to principal plus interest. That is nothing but principal plus here the interest is P T R by 100. When you common is P, you can get 1 plus T R by 100. This is nothing but the amount after some X years, some T years. Okay, here A is the amount, T is the time interest, and R is the rate of interest. Okay, in simple interest, we can calculate the first of all simple interest and next one amount. Whereas in compound interest, we should have to calculate the amount first. Okay, while using the formula, future value is equal to present value into 1 plus I1, 1 plus I2, 1 plus I3, and so on, 1 plus IN. Okay, in this, future value is nothing but amount, present value is nothing but the principal, 1 plus I, okay, whole power n or 1 plus I1. Okay, is same, 1 plus I whole power n is the answer, but I am using every time 1 plus I1, 1 plus I2 and so on like that. Okay, so while calculating the answers also, where I is equal to what? R by 100 directly, where P is equal to principal, A is equal to amount. Okay, here P means principal, initial investment, where I is equal to what? In this case, I is equal to what? R by 100. Here A is equal to, if interest rates are same, P of 1 plus I whole power n is the formula for the amount. So here P is equal to investment, starting investment or principal amount. Okay, principal. Okay, I is equal to rate of interest. Rate of interest for an compounded period. Why I am using the word compounded period here? Compounded period. Compounded period means if I am compounded annually, suppose if the principal is 1000 rupees, okay, and the rate of interest is 10% per annum. Okay, if I am compounded half yearly, R is equal to what? 5% per half year. Okay, then you can apply the formula to get the amount directly. Okay, then here in this case, so R is equal to what? For up to compounded period. In after 6 months, principal amount should be mixed with the this interest. Later we can calculate the interest based upon that compounded amount. That means for 6 months it is suppose here it is 150, okay, 1050 for 6 months. In the next year we should have to calculate, on the basis of this one. Okay, for 10% it is 105, for 5% it is 105 by 2, that is 52.5. So when you add that one, 52.5, you can get 1102.5. So in generally, when you calculate the interest for 1 year directly compounded, you can get 1100 only. Here 2.5 in extra. That means when you compounded if the number of times compounded is more, compounded amount is also more. Okay, number of times compounded period is more, then here the amount is also more when compared to direct compounding. Okay, that's what I am using the word compound in rate of interest for an interest period. Now N means number of times compounded, for an interest period. For an interest period. This terminology is very, very important, mark. Number of times compounded. Suppose I am compounding for twice, right? Okay, principal is equal to 1000 rupees. Okay, rate of interest is equal to 10% per annum. Compounding half yearly. If I am saying compounded half yearly. Okay, what is the interest or the, yes, what is the interest for 1 year? In this 1 year, how many times compounded? If compounded half yearly, how many times compounded for 1 year? 2 times. How many times compounded for 2 years? 4 times. How many times compounded for 3 years? 3 into 2, 6 times. Okay, so in the formula, amount A is equal to principal 1000 into here for half year it is 5%, that is 105 by 100 into 105 by 100. Okay, for 1 year. Directly n value is twice, that's why I can write 105 square as 105 into 105, 100 square as 100 into 100. So when you cancel these two, 0 0 0 0 cancel, okay, and 1 0 is cancelled. 105 into 105, you can get the value 10 into 11 in 11. Okay, 105 square can be identified as 10 into 11 and 25 at the last. 10 into 11 means 10 ones. Okay, here 10 tens 100 and 10 ones 10, 110, 110 20 25. So 11025. Right? So we can do another way also. Here it is 105 into 105. Here it is 105 square is 10 into 11, that is 110. Okay, 11 into tens, 11 ones 11 and 11 tens, 110. Okay, 110 and 25. So this is the value. By 10 you can get 1102.5. Directly you can get the answer. Previously you also get the same answer, 1102.5. Okay, when you are aware of the multiplications and the squares, it is better way to get the answer. For the squares of 5 multiples, I had already previously done, that is 5 value can be taken as 25. For the previous one, that number into the next number should be considered as that previous number. 10 into 11, that is 110, 25. Okay, so you can get the answer. By 10 you can get 1102.5. in that when you subtract the 1000, what is the interest? 102.5. that means here amount is equal to what? Principal. Amount includes principal and the interest, so interest is equal to amount minus principal. Okay, so in this format amount A is equal to P of 1 plus I whole power n minus P. Okay, then here the interest is nothing but the compound interest. When you take common this one, P of 1 plus I whole power n minus 1 is nothing but the compound interest. Compound interest is equal to P of 1 plus I whole power n minus 1. Okay, this is the compound interest formula. Okay, by these formulas we can get the answer very easily. Okay, by the percentages and by these formulas we can get the answer very easily. Let's have a discussion on some of the problems here. Okay, okay, now look at that first question. Find the interest on 60,000 rupees borrowed at 6% for 3 years. Is it simple interest or compound interest? Okay, he just gives the interest and there is no mention of the compounded period. So that means it comes under the simple interest. You should have to consider that. In that simple interest, first question. Okay, look at there. Find the interest on 60,000 rupees borrowed at 6% for 3 years. Okay, 6% per annum. Here 6% per annum for 3 years. Okay, interest at the rate of 60,000 rupees on 6%. 6%, that means for 1 year, what is the interest for on 60,000? 36. When you cancel last 2 double zeros, you can get 3,600 as interest. For 3 years, 3,600 plus 3,600, that is equal to 7,200. 7,200 plus 3,600, you can get 10,000. 72 plus 36, that is 10,800. So what is the answer? First one is the answer. Sorry, second one is the answer. That 1080 is the answer. Okay. Next one. Look at that second question. Find amount if Anil invests 40,000 rupees at 5% per annum. If Anil invests 40,000 rupees at 5% per annum for 4.5 years, he asked the question, find the amount. Okay, so amount is equal to formula what in simple interest? P of 1 plus TR by 100. In that also you can substitute that, you can get the answer, or otherwise you can do one thing. Okay, for 1 year, that means on 40,000 rupees, okay, rate of interest is equal to 5% per annum. Okay, so you should have to calculate up to 4.5 years. This is the concept. Now this is the principle. Let's take it as 100%. What is the 10% value? 4,000. Then what is the 5% value? 2,000. Okay, if 5% value is 2,000, okay, this was how many times it was multiple? 4.5 times. When you multiply the 4.5 times, that means 4.5 on both sides, you can get the answer directly. Okay, so at the first year it is 2,000. First year it is 2,000. For 5 years or for 4 years it is 8,000. Okay, for 1 year it is 2,000. For half year, for 1 year it is 2,000. For half year it is 1,000. So when you add 1,000 to this, you can get 9,000 as interest. 9,000 plus 40,000, what is the answer? 49,000 is the answer. That is the amount at the final. So here the answer is C. Okay, now let's come to the next one. Find the difference between the compound interest and the simple interest on 5,000 rupees lent out for 2 years at 5% per annum and compounded annually. Okay, in the absence of that information, you should have to finalize that compounded annually. Okay. Yes, look at that. Find the difference between the compound interest and the simple interest. When you go through the compound, you should have to calculate up to interest how many years? 2 years. Okay, if it is compounded annually on 5,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees is the principal. Okay, see a simple interest, rate of interest is 5% per annum. So here simple interest for 2 years. time period is equal to 2 years. That means at the first year it is how much of this one? 5,000 is 100% value. Then what about 10% value? 500. Then what about 5% value? 250. Okay, 100% value is 5,000, 10% value is 500, 5% value is 250. Okay, so if 5% value, that means for 1 year it is 250, for 2 years it is 250 plus 250, 500. Okay, difference between the compound interest and the simple interest. This is the simple interest for 2 years. Simple interest for 2 years is 500 rupees. Okay, on the basis of compound interest, here on 5,000, first 5% of interest is calculated for the first year. That means here it is 250 is added, 5% on 5,000. Okay, you can get 5250. Okay, and in the next year also 5% on 5250. Let 5250 be 100%. Then 10% is equal to 525. Then 5% is equal to half of this one, 520 half. That means in 500 half it is 250, in 20 half that is 10. Okay, so that means in 20 half that is 10, 250 plus 10 260, and 5 and half that is 2.5. Okay, 262.5. When you add this one 262.5, okay, what is the interest here? 250 plus 262.5. Here you can get 2 and here 11.5. 512.5. Here the difference is nothing but 512.5 minus 500. You can get the answer as 12.5 in this case. Okay, sometimes you may use the formula difference is equal to 100 square r by 100 plus r. Okay, by applying that formula also you can get the direct answer. Now, this question is very, very important to you. In how many years will a sum double itself at 10% per annum in simple interest? Okay, at 10% per annum, suppose initially it is 100%. Okay, after 1 year it is at the rate of 10% per annum, it will be 10% only. After 10 years it will be 100%.